Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, and welcome to The Beginner's Guide, the sort of unofficial sequel thing to the Stanley Parable. Now, I never played the Stanley Parable. I just sort of missed it. I was aware of it when it came out, and I watched someone else play it, but somehow I just sort of missed it, and I'm not even sure why. So this is The Beginner's Guide, and I know nothing about it. My understanding is it's something to do with making games, and something about confusion and figuring things out, but you know what? This is one of those kind of experimental, arty, figure out what it means sort of games. I feel like I owe that genre a bit of a favour, as apparently I was a bit mean to Journey. And the reason I was mean to Journey was because I went in knowing roughly what it was about with too high expectations, and thus I ruined the experience for myself. It's the Beginner's Guide, I've read no reviews, I've seen no trailers, I know nothing about it beside what I kind of think I read about it when it was flipping announced earlier this week. So, let's play this then. One thing I'll say about this game is there was no graphical settings at all. There was literally no graphical settings in the options.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way.
Okay.
And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
He messed up gravity.
What I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
I'm deeply confused as to whether this is actually a story or whether that's actually true. Okay. So, that's the actual guy that made it, but I don't know if Coda's a real person. And also, oh, blimey. Right, don't look up, you'll get lost in the endless void. Oh, okay. Alright then. This gun, wait, does this gun make noise?
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Okay, so Whisper is active, and it's just a it's a shooter, but it's got... Oh, I think I just wasted all of my ammo because I thought it was infinite. Alright, never mind. Now we've got Journey to Hell or Nice Not Hell. I'm going to go to Nice Not Hell. That seems better. Warning, machine active. Oh, exactly the same thing, just stuff in the way. I'm guessing that's supposed to be fire. Interesting. Okay, well, I now don't have any ammo unless there's a reload I've missed.
Security call reached.
Oh, that's unfortunate because I was wasting all my bullets trying to figure out if this gun actually had noise in it.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Ah!
But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not. Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it. Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Okay.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Well, no, it depends whether you've locked the door behind me or not. Yeah, I have, so I guess you haven't really given me a choice, have you? And by the way, I thought the beam was the one talking to me there for a second before, and there's no speakers, but I guess there's nothing else to do in this room. I mean, it's a bit of a false choice, isn't it?
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Yes, indeed. So it's a bit of a false choice, really, so it feels artificial. I'm not really sacrificing myself so much as walking into a predetermined event.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh, I'm back outside. Interesting. Hello, beam. Now is the door open? No. Infinite beam, I guess. Oh, no. Alright then. Now I'm going to heaven. Ooh, there's the labyrinth. Oh, wow, that was a more complex labyrinth than I thought.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Alright. Bricks. Room. Reminds me of the old... Oh, I can't move. I can go...
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Right! The past was behind her. Oh, blimey. Right. This is a good setup for a horror game, kind of.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront... Where did the door go?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Same month. Oh! This is like a flippin' Steam horror game. I can sort of... Oh, so I can't really leave the path. Can't really go backwards. You're very limited here. I basically can't leave the path at all. I can see very little. I'm now entering. This is quite a good spooky setup. A weird cone of shadow around me, a bubble beyond which I cannot see.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay. Alright, I'm sticking with you, voice that may or may not be real.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I'm not convinced this is real. I'm certain there's some sort of twist beyond...
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here.
Look, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm certain you're hiding something in this game. There's more than what's just here. Fine, the mysterious voice of God from heaven was telling the truth. There was nothing back here. I just get a weird feeling of unease from all of this, and I'm getting slower.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Can I do that now? Yes, I can. Was there anything through the door? You walk around talking to people, shooting the... Uh-oh, flip. Game is nothing but giant blocks of text explaining what's happening. Key in one game unlocks a door in a completely separate game. Series of lavish manuals.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
It's a notepad document, but a game. Stands on the neck staring at a bear for 3 hours.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Ready, set, fish.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Alright. Switch, open door. Nothing behind me. Darkness. Makes door close. If I hit it, then go through anyway. Aha! Second one.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
How far can I go this direction? Okay. Dots. What are dots there for?
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Alright. Ooh.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Ah, we're back here. So hang on, I'm just going to check that none of the rules have changed. No, you still can only go forward. You are now exiting.
Aha. So this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is. Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
I think this is too much of a linear, boxy corridor, to be honest. Now, how am I going to get on this one? I need to get the angle right. Oh! Yep. Oh, just. This is all a bit... Reminds me of... Oh! Hope there's not full damage in your linear, boxy game. Ow! Ooh, just. Yeah, reminds me of Super Mario Sunshine. The old the levels where you got FLUDD taken off you, if you remember those. I loved Super Mario Sunshine. Oh, aim for the thing. Never mind. So I guess it's just about controlling your descent if you can, if you're capable of doing so, like hitting more things, jumping between them. Okay, I'm getting horror things here. Like that sort of radio interference together with metal squeaking when I can't see what's squeaking, and I'm now trapped in a narrow place. That's actually a little unnerving. Ooh. No, I don't want to. I don't like being part of your... Okay. I do not like being this out of control, thank you. I might just... Oh, invisible walls.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
That's good, because otherwise I'd have turned the game off.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Ooh, right.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
You come from above. What was up there? A world stamped with whiteness. That was the highest level. An enormous prison I spent hours in was the third thing I ran into. Whereas the second thing was the floating coloured blocks. What was up there? Well, I guess the floating coloured blocks were the most remarkable thing. It's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, why not? I don't see why I should not trust you. People with listen at the side of their heads. Is it listen? No. Oh, they're in listen mode. They're all in listen mode, but at least one of them is speaking. Sure, why not? That's what I did. Oh. Please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. I'm not sure I trust the people who have green cubes for heads. Oh, okay, there's no option to just tell them anyway. I'm just going to say I cannot remember. Actually, no, I'll warn them off. You don't want to go out there. It's just a prison where apparently if God isn't on your side, you spend an hour in there for no reason. Oh no. But I do, we do. We need to get out there. Do you remember? It's the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you. There is nothing I want more. Well, apparently we don't have to answer him. Can we go up there? No, can't get up there. Alright. Intriguing. Uh-oh. Is that the same room? It's a very similar room. How did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Well, given I don't want to get stuck into them asking how to solve it again, no, I've been here the whole time. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved. You can sit in the black space in the middle. Why would I sit in the black space? Oh, it's plenty peaceful. It may not seem that way at first, but you'll come to think so in time. Eventually. I don't like you people, you're creepy. I'm just gonna go now. Probably to the next room of people who want to know how to solve the puzzle. This is a bit more nice work. This is starting to look a bit better.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
It's alright, Coda. The Bioshock guys are bloody obsessed with lighthouses. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Now, is that true? I mean, or at least was it supposed to be true at the time? I don't know if it's true now. I imagine quite a few people are playing this on Steam at the moment, and this room would be bloody full of notes. Hello? Hello, Noteball. Nice room. Not. Can I leave notes? How do I leave notes?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Just admittedly a bit of a small design flaw that in the event of when the setup of the game is you can leave notes and these people are leaving notes, there's no mechanism for me to leave a note, so no one else will be able to either. So you kind of know the notes are fake from that, because I can't write my own notes. The notes go permanently white. Well, now I have to just pass by all of them. That's fine. I don't necessarily read all of them, but I definitely want all of them to be going white, thank you. There's something very true about, even if these were obviously all supposed to be fake and made by the supposed creator, even though the creator himself may be fake, I'm not sure. It's kind of, it strikes me as very true that if you were to put a door rest in that wouldn't open, you would get some people just moaning about it rather than just turning on and carrying on their way. That's very much how the internet works, yes. There's something very sad about this one, actually. Just the fact that, if these, even in the narrative, which may not be real, of someone who created a game which had these kind of fake comments in it, if you kind of put a painting over there and then pretend that somebody says things like very good game and where's the one I was thinking of, what is that painting? It's like It's like if you create something and nobody cares, so you have to, you know, write fake comments, create fake accounts. I kind of, you know, I try and get involved with amateur YouTubers if I can. I hang around on like a couple of like small YouTuber type forums where there's a lot of like smaller YouTubers, and you know, I think a few of them admit that when they're very small, they kind of create fake accounts, and you know, they leave comments to try and make things look busier than they are, which is, I guess, kind of what this is like representing. So it kind of rings true in that regard. But if so, this is a very sad story. Well, there's a sad one. Maybe I'll feel real someday. It's sad.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
The further I've gone down, that whispering noise in the background has got stronger. And there's the 3 dots. Why are those 3 dots again? Why are those everywhere?
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, you know, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Towards a massive, terrifying typewriter with a lamppost. Oh no, a typewriter sort of made of typewriters. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak. I couldn't. There was no flipping mechanism for typing a note. I tried the obvious buttons. Okay, these are getting progressively a little bit creepier and weirder. Porn stars die too. Statistically, quite a bit younger than everyone else.
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
I mean, if this is all fake, it's quite nicely done, because things like better lighting, better textures, more images, the whole thing feeling more complete. You can feel as time goes on that whoever's making this is getting better at making the game. So, if this is not real, it's been relatively well faked. Oh, not this again. Not the flipping... Oh no, I thought the Cone of Darkness was about to...
This is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Sorry, did we just skip over the fact that there was, like, a horrifying room in the basement? Furniture in the centre of the room. Put a giant hole in the ground. That's not a giant hole. I want more giant holes. Huge picture of a horse. Lovely. Okay, let's light up this room a bit. I wish there were Tesla coils, but sadly not. Well, this certainly isn't a wishing well, because nothing of what I want's coming true. Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference. Explain to me, game. Or just put a table in.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Where's my Tesla coils?
This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. Alright then. The text is... This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Okay, follow instructions carefully. Take care you remember each step. Click on... Why are the holes? I don't like the fact that there are those 3 holes every single time. Click on the table. Go over to the photo frame and turn it slightly. Okay, table. Oh, wrong way, wrong way. Oh no, we're going to turn it more. Floor lamp off and on again. Okay. Left side of the sofa. Move it over a bit. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Well, I strongly suspect that is... Ooh, a bit darker. I strongly suspect that's not the case, because what happens if I get put in a prison cell at some point that doesn't have a sofa or a picture in it? I feel like that's where this could all go a bit wrong. But alright. Return to my prison, whatever my prison is.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside, and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
That's the lamppost. That's the end of the game over that way, then. Alright, fine. Oh, good. I got lost in the darkness there for a second. Yeah, that rings kind of true, because some of you may know, before I did YouTubing, I used to just write. It's just for pleasure. It's just a hobby. But that's one of the things about writing, that's very easy to get caught up on an idea and rewrite it over and over and over again, and never actually figure out how to make it work. But you just kind of keep trying, because it's such a wonderful idea. Like, I had an idea for a novel I wanted to write. This was many, many, many years ago. And I just, from about 2004 to as late as I was still working on and off to like 2010 or so, I just wrote on and off that same idea as a novel. I could never bloody make it work. And maybe it couldn't work. Maybe that's because I have the same problem as Coda, who may or may not be a fictional character. And if so, I'm sharing my problems with fictional characters. It's a house in darkness, a world, a phone box. Ooh. Well, I really hope I have to dial someone whose phone number is entirely 369 or hash. Hello? Who is this? It's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. I'm telling him how to escape? Yes, I would have thought you'd recognise your own voice, you bloody lunatic. So you were trapped in the prison too? Yes, I was in the furniture maze.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
If that is actually what Coda was thinking, then Coda could possibly use a bit of help. I'm not sure the man's entirely well. Yeah, sure. Was I in a furniture? I was, but I don't know how to escape from that. I was in an escape tutorial. I could help you out to that one. Oh, good. So he's there right now. I'm so glad to know that I get out eventually. What's it like to escape? Sort of weird and dark and surreal. It feels completely still, wildly emotional. That's not true. Strange in a way. I kind of miss being in the prison. I really don't. Actually, I'm already forgetting what being in the prison was like. Yes, that one's closest to the truth, I guess. Really? How long has it been since you got out? Yes, only a few minutes, but somehow it's already fuzzy. Mainly because there were many, many iterations of it. This is the worst, most desperate thing I've ever been through. How could you possibly forget it? Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, actually I didn't, though that's possibly... Oh no, I've just created a paradox. Then can you tell me how to get out? Yes, okay, I can. Look, I was happy to call you. I don't really want to hang out, alright? Just being awkward. Like, it's bad enough living with me. Living with a second iteration of me, it would be worse. To get out, just talk with me for a bit. To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. To get out... No, to get out, you've got to touch the sofa, then turn the picture, then... Well, what was next? The light on and off, move the left sofa a bit, then touch the shelf. That's what you... That should be an option. But, okay, maybe I'll get to tell you that in a bit. Just talk with me for a bit. That will free me. Yes, if I give you the instructions of how to escape, which I know. Just talk to me. Talk to me, Coda. Are you alright, man? You feeling okay? Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be here? I'll be here for as long as you need, Coda.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, but if it's yourself, that's a bit worrying and mad.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself? To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Oh god, it's the weird, creepy guys again, the bloody halfway to Doctor Who's villains, these bastards. Right, ooh, this house is nice. Nice, that's actually a quite nicely done bathroom. Cabinets, toilet, bathroom with a double door, which is a little bit unusual. Nice bedroom, albeit possibly a little bit lacking in privacy. You probably would not want to be intimate with your significant other in this environment. Or you would, right up to the point where 2 hikers and a bear are outside. Well, my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you showed up. Don't have to clean this entire house by myself. Well, you are the clean bot. I would have bloody thought you ought to be doing so.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
It's quite nice. It's genuinely quite nice looking. There's some nice little design here. I like the wood. I like the kind of the wood beams. Those are nice. So yeah, sure. Let's clean the place. Let's play Cleaning Simulator. That's the story, little one. Don't worry now. We'll be through this mess in no time. I promise you. I wish there was more. Why don't I finish up here? In the meantime, could you please clear the table? Okay. How do I do that? That was remarkably simple. Would you please run to the bedroom and make the bed? Wish making the bed was that easy. That's very nice. Straighten out the rug a bit, alright? Ooh, I like this game. I'm actually the sort of person who quite enjoys the sight and feeling of a well-made bed. I'm like that. So yes. How'd you end up doing this as a job? Well, to be honest, after you've got a head that's nothing but the word clean to every angle, like becoming a cleaner is pretty much, you know, you're limiting in options. So, do you enjoy being a house cleaner? Well, oh god, clean head doesn't want to. I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my ribcage. My soldiers can't be suited any other way it seems, which I guess is all that matters. Oh, and tidy catch. Would you straighten out the pillows on the sofa out here? Yes. Yes, I will. Can't help but notice you're not actually bloody doing anything, mind. Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink on the couch. Okay. Really? Where? Oh. I feel compared to share an incredibly cheesy person insight. You okay with that? Yes. Let's go for incredibly cheesy. After that, I'll tell you some cheese jokes. Okay. What cheese do you use to hide a horse? Mascarpone. Hey, the dishes need to be washed. Why don't you do that? Okay, but what cheese do you use to get a bear down from a tree? Camembert. Oh, what cheese survived the explosion at the cheese factory? Debris. I've got nothing but cheese puns. All right, fine. Let's do the dishes. There we are. Beautiful. Last I checked, the tub needs cleaning. How about you scrub it down? How about I just click it and it sort of does itself? Ooh, lovely. There are still books. Wait, hang on, are there? They weren't there a second ago. I think more work is being created.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Does it? It feels like a circular task. I mean, if a task is just where we just kind of go in a cycle repeating the same tasks over and over forever, while relaxing music plays in the background, and a terrifying Doctor Who monster with clean on its head just barks instructions at me. I'm not sure I feel calm about that. Do the chores ever end? Darling, let me tell you something. Whatever work you do, you have absolutely got to own it. Otherwise it owns you. So why don't we be with the task at hand, leave the future chores to future you. Present you wants to smooth up the rug in the bedroom.
Like this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time. Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Ooh, really cheesy thought, really cheesy thought. I was going to say it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you. Heh. I don't know why I felt so weird saying that. This is all very odd, because like the way this is being portrayed, where the specific lines of dialogues are a desperate insight into Coda's mind, like a real intrinsic view into what he's thinking, that implies that like games are developed as a stream of consciousness rather than a very slow effort of coding and design, where, you know, they're play tested. Even if it's only a one-man operation, you'd play through the game and you'd think, does that actually work, and you'd edit it. I'm not necessarily seeing the first draft. I'm seeing something that we were told took months of work, where surely it would be play tested and tweaks would be changed. The fact that the character says, I have a cheesy thought, no, I'm too embarrassed to say it, and then says it later, doesn't mean that Coda had a cheesy thought but thought it was too embarrassing to say. It's that Coda, for whatever reason, assigned this character that kind of behaviour. So I'm kind of filling it through that filter, so it kind of makes me think that therefore Coda possibly isn't real? Because if Coda were real, then surely that wouldn't be the case if that's the view that's trying to be... You know, I'm just going to go through the thing. A house is a lot like a soul. No. There's a bit of truth in that. Fine. I'm not sure I believe in souls, but I definitely believe in houses, so I guess there's one thing they don't have in common. So, but do you mean to scrub something, bunny bloody chance? Let's keep doing this. Forever. Keep cleaning forever. Tasks that you do will undo themselves. Keep cleaning. Never stop cleaning. Clean everything. Oh god, this is...
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Which room has just miraculously undone itself now?
But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
I don't know, is it just me that feels like that's somehow kind of nightmarish? The idea of just like being assigned a set of chores, and then 10 seconds later, the moment you turn your back on them, they need to be done a second time? I mean, like, I actually personally quite enjoy, like, I enjoy the ironing. I really personally enjoy ironing. I love ironing. I love taking a bunch of creased clothes and making them, like, really smooth and lovely and hanging them up and stuff. But equally, the idea of, like, doing a pile of ironing, then turning my back on it for 10 seconds, then suddenly it needs to be done again is... That's kind of nightmarish. That's like the housekeeping equivalent of a nightmare where you're back at school and there's an exam today and you haven't revised for it, which by the way is a well, I wouldn't say nightmare, but an unpleasant dream I do have on occasion. That's one of my unpleasant dreams, when I end up back at school and there's an exam that day and I'm not revised for it, because failing exams is something I don't enjoy because I'm a massive nerd and was at
Which
school.
is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to end things off here. And the reason for that is I've actually played the rest of this game already, but like I've looked over the footage and basically I've come to decide that this is one of those games that you get a much better experience from playing than from watching someone else play. I've kind of, you know, like introduced you to some of the ideas and kind of walked you through some of it, but like it gets a lot darker and creepier yet. Then it flips itself on its head and gets even darker and creepier still in a completely different way. And there are moments during the rest of this game, it's only like an hour or 2 hours long. I think I took like 2 hours to play it because I was kind of poking around at it, but you could probably do it in an hour and a half pretty easily if you wanted to. But there were moments where I like felt an involuntary like shudder go through me. There are moments where, like, you felt like a tightness in your chest of anxiety. Like, this game really makes you viscerally feel something, and that's probably because I'm a creator, not a creator in the same way. This is very much about game development, but I'd say if you are a creator, if you're a YouTuber or a writer or anything of that nature, if you create any capacity, this game is something that you should experience, but be warned that the visceral, strong emotions you will feel will be unpleasant emotions, but somehow it's kind of compelling, and I kind of think people ought to experience it. And I think people ought to experience it themselves and not watch someone else play it. But I will say, I've had a very good experience with this game, insofar as, if you want a game like this, a very, not particularly interactive, not particularly about the gameplay, a game that's entirely about the story and the narrative. Therefore, the story and the narrative really have to make you feel something. They really have to move you, and it really, really has. It's been a fantastic experience playing this game. I've enjoyed it hugely and came away feeling deeply unsettled and upset. Whether you consider that a good thing or not, like, if you don't enjoy feeling those emotions, maybe avoid this game. But if you enjoy a game where the narrative is really ready to give you a good old gut punch, then this comes extremely thoroughly recommended. But I won't be doing a follow-up to this video. This will just be introducing it, and I thoroughly recommend, if you want to see how it ends, go and get this game. There'll be a link in the description below. So there you are. That is kind of one of my very few experiences with kind of the experimental narrative style games, but it's a good one. It's very, very much affected me, so mission accomplished, I suppose. So next time something like this comes out, maybe I will indeed give it a go on launch day without kind of trying to avoid spoilers and reviews and everything, and then maybe I can experience this sort of thing more often. But yes, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I've been John. It's been Many a True Nerd, and this has been The Beginner's Guide. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Haha, I'm a genius at time. Oh, okay, this escalated quickly. I'd like to fly your drone. So good about a butterfly in a bucket. What does that tell you about the human condition? Are we the butterfly and is capitalism the bucket? What happens if you go right to the back in time? The very beginning of time. Oh, you literally just burn the universe.